I'm sure you've been there. There's some tasks that are so easy to get done. You wake up inspired and you can't wait to start doing something. And then there's other things where you need to pull out all the stops of motivation in order to trick yourself into just getting it done. Maybe a deadline was looming over your head. April 15th, sound familiar? It is to me. I got my taxes done on time this year, but just in the nick of time. I had all the paperwork done for months, but still, I would rather do anything else in the world than to sit down and do my taxes. And I had the reward of a refund coming this year. Let's talk about procrastination. Let's talk about how you can start doing the things that you need to do in order to make your life more fulfilling, and how motivation can be leveraged so that you can get those things that you just don't want to do done. If you're new here, this is Motivation Code. My name is Kathy. Motivation Code is an assessment. It's an assessment based on your stories. You're not taking a test or a quiz. You are actually telling the application your stories, the things that fulfilled you and why they fulfilled you. And then based on decades of motivational science research, it will tell you which motivational dimensions are key for you. For me, I'm a visionary. I love big ideas, big projects. I like things that make me think in a new way. I like innovation. Those are the things that are exciting to me. So when I have a big project that's innovative and exciting, I am all in on that. I can't wait to do those types of things. But when I'm dealing with taxes, not so much. Then I need to play some tricks on myself in order to avoid procrastination. Now I have another big project, and that is going through all of my husband's books. It is like a small library in the garage with boxes and boxes full of books, some of which are extremely interesting to me. I will open up a box of books and I will grab one of them and start looking at it and say, ooh, I didn't know he had this book. I would like to read it, and get distracted. Because I am a visionary, I have had to play this trick on myself. Instead of saying, okay, I've got to clean out the garage and I've got to get rid of these boxes of books as soon as possible, I have broken it down into much smaller steps. This is one way that you can work with your motivational dimensions and making things seem easier. So I know which books are exciting to me. So if I pick up a book, I'm excited about it, I create a pile of books that I would someday like to read. Then I create another pile of books that I want to donate, and another pile of books that I am going to list for sale on Amazon. Just by sorting these books, I'm at least creating some movement, and that movement creates momentum. I'm also playing into my motivational dimension. I know that I am going to get tripped up by books that are innovative, visionary, and exciting. So I give myself permission to do that. Just by creating that pile of things I can look at later, at least I'm getting some movement. And then the books I'm not interested in, those will be the first to go. In this way, I'm taking a very large task and I am chunking it down into something that's much more manageable and using my motivational dimension as leverage. In fact, knowing that there's books out there that are going to be exciting for me, that gets me excited to get started, to get that momentum going. Now, another trick that you can play on yourself to get yourself moving when you are feeling procrastination is to use deadlines in combinations with rewards. The looming deadline of a tax deadline, that you have to have your taxes done and filed by a certain date, that gets you going. That gets you some motivation. If you have a task that you don't want to do, you can set this up with a deadline. You have a date that you set for yourself, and then create a reward. If you are motivated by reward, and most of us are, tie something to that reward. Now, one reward when you're doing your taxes is getting a refund. Of course, getting some money back is always a positive reward. For other things, you might have to think that through. Now, we have a room in our house. My daughter is in the midst of painting it. She's taking a little bit of a procrastination break at the moment, but there's a motivation that she has of a reward of what she's going to do with that room once that room is painted and once we have have some of the renovations done in there. Once it's done, it becomes a place that her friends can come over. That room is primarily going to be for her and her friends to have a good time, play games, have a little microwave with some popcorn and watch movies, all of that fun stuff. So there is a fun reward associated with that. Now, if you're an achiever, you want to be recognized for what you have done. You want to be recognized for the achievement that you've had. If you know that that's your motivational dimension, it's really important that recognition for what you've accomplished is tied into the completion of a task. So set a deadline for yourself and give yourself a reward. Even better if you can tie that reward somehow to the activity. If you have a task that you don't want to do, let's say reorganizing a filing cabinet, who wants to do that? But if you can tie in something cool that you can do with your office once you have your filing cabinet reorganized, you can tie something fun that is unique to you, that shows off your unique personality, the things that you love about your job. Decorate your office in a way that is going to draw attention to what you have completed. In this way, you are tying in the reward to your motivational dimension and giving yourself a deadline also of saying, I would like to have this done by this date, and then really imagine yourself completing that and imagine the reward that you're going to get. In this way, you can break through any procrastination and deal with even the most boring and mundane tasks as you get more and more done. Now, if you're an optimizer, you probably want to get through unpleasant tasks as fast as possible. Probably want to create a list. You want to think through and plan how you're going to get those things done. And you're going to want to optimize the process so you're spending as little time as possible doing the thing that is unpleasant to you. Now, if it's taxes, maybe it's getting all of the numbers lined up just right before you dive into actually completing all of the forms or all of the tasks online. By optimizing the process so that you can gamify it, maybe you want to set it so that you get things done faster than what TurboTax says it's going to take. If TurboTax says your return is probably going to take 2 hours to complete, you might want to set a task that I can get it done in an hour because I'm going to be so prepared. You're gamifying the process that isn't necessarily fun. You're adding in your own motivational dimension as leverage to get something done in an optimized fashion. Now, if you're doing something big, something that maybe is a life change. Maybe it's hitting the gym for the first time in a very long time. Very important that you set yourself up for success. Now, hitting the gym, making healthy lifestyle choices, this isn't something you're just going to do for a week. It's not something you're going to do for an hour. This is something that you're going to probably do for the rest of your life. It's really important to understand what your motivational dimensions are there, and to seek accountability, whether it's a personal trainer that you make a promise to that you're going to show up week after week because you're paying for it, or whether you're telling friends and family, hey, I'm embarking on this journey. Leverage your motivational dimensions and make it a game. Let's say you're trying to get into shape and you're an influencer. That's your motivational dimension. Well, let's think about it. Let's think about where you are now and where you'd like to be. How far do you want to go? What are your fitness goals? If you can tie it into being inspiring to others, then it's going to be a lot more fun. Now, the fitness journey, I don't care what anybody says. When you're starting from the couch and you're trying to go to running a 5K, or when you're going from the couch and you're lifting heavy things, no matter what you're doing, it's not fun. Leveraging your motivational dimensions can make it a lot more fun. Now think about it. You've seen the before and after pictures. If you're an influencer, think about what it would be like to be that after picture, to be in a place where you haven't seen someone in 4 months and they say, wow, you look great. What have you been doing? And you get to tell your story. You get to see other people's eyes light up when you say, it was hard, but I knew I could do it. And I think anybody who could do this can go through this process and have similar results. When it really comes down to it, it wasn't that hard. I just needed to focus. Whatever story it is that you're going to tell, see yourself telling that story, inspiring others. In that way, every time you hit the gym, you know that your influencer is going to have a story to tell sometime in the future that's going to inspire others. You leverage your motivational dimension and tie it into whatever goal you're trying to achieve it makes everything so much easier. Who wants to procrastinate when you know the fun that you're going to have when you're fulfilled by the story you're creating? Now, there's a lot of ways that we trip ourselves up with these things that we'd like to achieve with procrastination. Procrastination is usually a sign of something else going on. Maybe we're being perfectionistic. Maybe the pressures that we're putting on ourselves to achieve are much higher than they need to be. It's really important that we focus on progress, not perfection. Nobody's ever perfect. Even the ones who tell you that they are or pretend that they are, they're not perfect either. Focus on failing a few times because you're going to learn from those failures. Every time you go to the gym, every rep, every single thing you do is progress towards the goal, towards the vision that you have. Another thing that feeds into procrastination is that feeling of overwhelm. I get it completely. That garage, all those boxes in the garage are very overwhelming for me. Every time I go out there, I really have to just chunk it down to, I will deal with this one box today, and that's it. I'm not going to try to deal with all, I don't even know how many are out there. You really need to focus on just one thing at a time and then bring in your motivational dimension to help you get through the task that is so hard. It's easy to get overwhelmed when it's like, all right, I'm going to try to get to 100 things today. But one thing, anybody can do one thing. Just give yourself 25 minutes. The Pomodoro technique has been around for a while. Commit to 25 minutes. Set the alarm on your phone. I'm going to do this for 25 minutes and I'm going to give myself a reward for 5 minutes after that. And that reward can be anything that feels motivating to you. Tie it in with your motivational dimension and it's going to make those 25 minutes seem to go by a lot faster. It's really important that we understand ourselves, and it's important that we understand the emotions that are at play with whatever task that we're trying to deal with. Now, if you're trying to deal with going through belongings of a loved one who has passed, I get it. That is difficult. Going through my husband's books that I know he's never going to read again. Even though he's still here, I know he's never going to read these books again, and it's time for us to say goodbye to a lot of them. I still have an emotional attachment to the way things were. And he's not gone. He's still here. I just know he's not going to use those books. It can be a traumatic task. I know it still needs to get done, but allowing myself some freedom to feel the emotions surrounding going through those activities is very important. It's very easy to avoid the task because I want to avoid the emotions that it is bringing up. If you're going through that, it's perfectly normal. Give yourself the time, the space, and the freedom to do it in a way that works for you. Now, if you have time pressures, if you have to move and you're going through all of these things, then, that's a different story. It's good to give yourself the freedom to feel the emotions, but it's also important to pull yourself out of those emotions because the freedom you're going to feel as you move through some of those tasks is going to be more supportive of you in the long run. If you have not yet taken the motivation code, what are you waiting for? There are plenty of activities that each and every one of us have before us that we should probably tackle. The list of things I have to deal with this house, it's pretty long. I'm sure you have a list of things that you have to deal with as well. Once you move through these things, you're going to feel much more free. Sometimes just making the decision of I'm going to move through this and I know things are going to work out for me in the long run, and having some trust in the fact that working through the emotions that are coming up, working through the feelings of not feeling good enough, feeling like there's no reward at the end of this, all of those emotions can be worked through, especially if you know yourself. Now, Motivation Code is one of those tools that helps you better understand who you are. We all have hard things that we have to deal with. No matter who you are, you're going to go through the loss of loved ones. No matter who you are, you're going to go through hard things that you have to deal with. But when you know who you are and you can leverage your motivational dimensions, it can make working through procrastination so much easier. I hope you got something out of this video. This one was a little more personal for me. I am dealing with procrastination in a few areas. As long as I can keep tying the completion of these tasks to my motivational dimension, it's just going to get easier and easier as I move forward. Let me know in the comments below. Do you have some tasks that you're procrastinating on? What's getting in the way for you? If you know your motivational dimension, share that below as well. I'd love to hear what motivational dimension you have and how you're leveraging it to move through more difficult tasks, how you're using it to change your life. Thanks for watching.